So Porsha and Todd, they decided that they gonna sneak up in Diane's house. And the thing about it was very, very funny because it's kind of like how when you're young or even when you're older and you living home with your mama and you trying to get your trying to get your fuck on, but you don't want nobody to hear you. Now, actually, I've never done it while my mother was here or anybody else was here, but I know what it's like though. You trying to get your, you ain't really, this is the only spot you got. You ain't trying to get no hotel room. You trying to be cheap about it, so you trying to get your fuck on. But I was sitting up here like, what the fuck are they fucking doing? Like, it was so funny to me. So I'm like, Porsche trying to sneak Todd in the motherfucking house so they can fuck. Basically, that's what they doing. So I'm like, girl, but that's all I really had to say about Porsha and Todd, because that's all they really did. That's all Porsha really did this episode, was try to sneak Todd in the house, and she moved out her other house, and it's a new beginning for her. So she living with her mother until she finds her another place to stay. So, so good luck, Porsha. Good luck on moving on with your life. Yes, I gave you such a rough time last week, but I felt you deserved it. But it doesn't change the fact that I wish the best for you. Now, you're not my favorite person at the moment, but I can give credit where it's due. You're doing the damn thing by trying to move on with your life. But I'm not really certain about what's really going on between you and this Todd person. I'm really not. He already got exposed on Fingerless already, so I don't know where you got this motherfucker from. But okay, so then Sheree, she meets up with a publisher, and apparently she's writing a tell-all book. It's like a fiction, and some of the characters are basically mirroring herself, Bob, and even Nene. And she says some people in Atlanta might be upset about the things that she write about, but it's her life. And it's basically going to be like a tell-all book, but it's going to be mixed with, the drama's going to be amped up by a little bit of exaggeration. And that's, you need that amped up, that amplified drama for your book, because you don't want it to be so telling to the point where it's so boring. You know what I mean? So I see that Sheree really trying to get them coins, because when she was on Real Housewives of Atlanta for all them years, she didn't do anything to use the platform. All she had was a flop ass clothing line with nothing to fucking show for it. So one thing I can say about her is she's at least trying to make the steps to do the damn thing. I mean, she already got this book. It'll be even more accepting if she gets a workout DVD, because Kenya shouldn't have had one, because she really wasn't dedicated to that shit. She was only doing it to spite Phaedra. Phaedra shouldn't have had one because the bitch wasn't in shape. The only person that I really need to see doing a workout DVD on this motherfucking show is not Kenya, it's Sheree. And probably Matt, because, his finance, got the workout thing down packed, so I can see him and Sheree doing the workout tape, not these other hoes. So she meets up with Bob, and she pretty much tells Bob about the book, and she was like, well, my book gonna be juicy, it's gonna have every little thing in there. And Bob was like, I just don't want you to put out all the secrets, you know what I'm saying? Like, but really what he's really worried about is that Sheree gonna spill his tea. And as messy as Sheree is at this point in time, she's gonna spill his motherfucking tea. So there's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? There's really no doubt about that situation at all. So I don't know what you're trying to pull, Bob, but she gonna spill your motherfucking tea. You know Sheree better than any of us know her. So you already know what it is. She gonna spill your motherfucking tea in this motherfucking book. In the slyest way possible. That's the way she keep up her mess, and that's how she keeping her check on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So Kandi and Todd, they have a conversation about a post that was posted on Instagram. It was from a former employee of Kandi's, and it was a photo of Kandi, Todd, and the Kandi Cody clique, and he basically said that was before I separated the real from the fake. And Kandi just felt some type of way about that, because she said, she hired him for a lot of things. He had his own company, so basically he was working for her part-time. But since he decided that he had that, and it was interfering with everything that she wanted him to do as far as her business is concerned, she let him go. But it wasn't no hard feelings, it was just a business situation. So she said she's going to have to talk to Johnny about that. But then she gets into a conversation with Todd about the situation with Porsha. And pretty much Kandi is very much irritated because, you know, she feels like it's the three of them, Kandi, Phaedra, and Porsha. They had this threesome. And she always feels like Porsha never speaks up for her. She's always speaking up for Phaedra. And it's like, you know, we were friends as well, so do you ever speak up for me? Do you ever see it from my point of view? And honestly, I do get where Kandi is coming from, like, and that's why I was very annoyed by Porsha on my last video, and everybody was so mad and calling biased and everything like that. It's not, I wasn't biased at all, because I'm not the only reviewer that's saying this shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. My thing is, I feel like if you're involved with two people and both of them are your close friends and both of them are feuding, either you do something to deflect the situation to get them to be on common ground, or you just stay the fuck out of it, because being a middleman ain't never the easiest thing. And like I said, I've had friends that don't like each other, and I've always opted to stay out of the shit in the mudslinging. Now, what I don't like is when someone takes a side when you know both sides, and I just feel like Porsha just needs to stay the fuck out of it. Like, everybody just forgets the fact that her and Kandi had a fucking relationship, and everybody want to say, well, she wasn't as close to Kandi as she was to Phaedra. Well, apparently to Kandi, Porsha was close to her. I mean, they were friends outside this show. They was hanging out outside this show. I mean, when Kandi had her Being Kandi Burberry special on Centric, right alongside Tiny and Rashida and Phaedra, her closest friends, and Carmen and Tamara, Porsha was on there. And you only have people that's very close to you on shows like that. And I felt like, you know, obviously they had some form of a relationship if she had her involved in her autobiography. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck that shit. Phaedra was just as much as a friend to Kandi as Porsha was. You know what I mean? And Kandi has always spoken up for Porsha in any situation. She has always spoken up for Porsha. She's always gone to bat for Porsha. She's always tried to be there for Porsha. But I've never seen Porsha try to be there for Kandi. That's my issue, and I feel Kandi on that, because when you got a friend that's constantly finding the wrong of what you're doing but never seen it from your side, but always looking on the other side but never seen it from your point, that is annoying. I feel Kandi on that, and I don't give a fuck who get mad about it. I feel Kandi on this shit, you know what I'm saying? So fuck all that. Porsha either needs to try to bring the two back together, or shut the fuck up and stay out of it if you're friends with both of them. That's just how I feel. And like Todd said, Porsha has popped bitches for things smaller than what the fuck Kandi mad about. So, I mean, girl, come on now. And I still agree with why she popped some of them. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not condemning her for that before anybody says I am. But, so, Kandi is getting ready to set up for an event. She finds out that she got some same-sex toys and shit that I might have to check out. And she sees Johnny. So then she confronts Johnny about the post, and he pretty much said that he felt like he was underpaid. And like Kandi said, it doesn't matter what the fuck the pay was, you accepted the pay for it. No matter how much work you did, you accepted the pay. Now, at the end of it all, if you were not paying him that much, he has a right to complain. But at the same time, motherfucker, if you sat here and you accepted the low wages, then you don't have nothing to say. You knew what you was getting paid, and if you knew that you deserved more than that, you should have made that clear from the beginning, but you didn't. So you put yourself in that predicament when you decided to accept it. You never settle for less, especially with business. You know what I mean? And if you know that you deserve more, then just say that you deserve more. Don't wait till everything is over, then make a post on Instagram and say, I just, you know, went past the real and the fake, when y'all was still cool after she let you go. So why all the animosity now that y'all filming? That's the problem that I had with it. Never mind the fact that he was getting paid less, because I agree with him on that. Like, if I'm doing all this work, I need to get paid more. But the difference between me and him, I would have stated that from the beginning. I would have got my motherfucking money. I never would have waited to the last minute to do any of that bullshit. So then, after Kandi goes the fuck off on him, he goes to Phaedra, and he was basically saying he was getting paid like $500 a week, pretty much. and he was doing 80 hours for $500 a week. Now, Kandi, if he was really doing 80 hours a week, and you only pay him $500, that's the cheapest shit in the book. And you got all that money, and you can't pay him no more than $500 the fuck dollars. But it all goes back to what the fuck you accepted and what the fuck you knew you was getting yourself into, Johnny. You knew what you was getting yourself into. So why the fuck would you not complain about your wages at the time you was working with her? And then on top of that, just like Kandi said, you had your own company, and it was coming between the stuff that she needed you to do. So she let you go. You was working part-time anyway. And because of her, you got your clients. So why can't you see it like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't fault him for feeling like he deserved more money, because if you doing 80 hours a week and you only get paid $500 a fucking week, then that ain't enough money for no motherfucking body. But if you accepted it, you accepted that. You know what I mean? And that's all I can say about that. I ain't saying Kandi right, because that's some bullshit. I agree with a lot of what Phaedra said on it. Like, that's some plantation pay. You know what I mean? That ain't no factory pay. That's some plantation pay. $500 for all this shit? Kandi, bye. But you accepted that pay, Johnny. That's your fault. You should have had your ducks in a row with that. So then Kenya talks to Cynthia, and she asks Cynthia how Peter has been, because Peter contacted her. Cynthia said that she has not talked to Peter since the divorce. So she lets it be known that Peter asked her to host an event for his new opening in Charlotte, but at the same time she doesn't feel right going by herself, so she wants Cynthia to go with her. So Cynthia, you know, she agreed to it, you know what I'm saying? So she was like, okay, I'll go, you know what I mean? I'll go and support you, and I'll go to support Peter. So then, you know, Peter tells Todd about the grand opening event, and he wants him to come to Charlotte to attend. And, you know, Todd asked Peter, you know, is Cynthia invited? And he was like, well, you know, me and Cynthia are moving on, and, you know, I'm just trying to start my new life and start fresh, so that's why I didn't invite her or whatever. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, Todd wants them to work it out. And, you know, in a sick way, I kind of want Cynthia and Peter to work it out too, only because I'm so used to them being together. But at the end of the day, Cynthia deserves so much better than Peter. She really did, honestly. So if she felt like she needed to move the fuck on with her life, then that's on her. That's what she needed to do. So then, before the event, Kenya reveals to Cynthia that Matt has been sending her threatening text messages. He basically saying that if he's gonna regret the day she met him and everything, if she leaves him and all of that stuff. Like, I've been saying that Matt was crazy as hell. Like, I've been saying it. But at the same time, just like Cynthia said, at some point you just gonna have to let go of this shit. It's like you entertaining him and his fuckboy shit, Kenya. You know what I mean? And you know, me and you ain't always been on the best of terms. But I've had a nigga in my life like that who just couldn't let go. And sometimes you have got to let it go. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it go. You can't keep on holding on to something like that. It's toxic, which is what I'm going to talk about in one of my testimonials. It's toxic. And you can't continue to hold on to something like that, because it's only gonna it's never gonna get better. It's always gonna be bullshit in the game, and it's never gonna be right. And if he's to be threatening you like that, you got to let him go. You got to take the proper precautions to keep him out of your life. That's all I can say about that. So we get to Charlotte. You know, Cynthia is scared. Basically informs Peter that Kenya is scared because Matt is there, and Peter invited Matt. So then when, you know, Kenya pulls up and she's like, you know, I'm not going to let Peter down. I'm not going to let no man stop me from doing what I was asked to do. So then, next thing you know, Matt comes and he's trying to talk to Kenya, and Kenya don't want to talk to him. And she calls for help. Next thing you know, Matt punches one of the producers. And that scares Kenya. Like, he lost all his grip at that point in time. So then, you know, Peter calls Matt and he was like, you just got to let that go, dog. You got to let it go. You got to leave it alone and all of that stuff. But Matt keeps saying that he's getting manipulated. And honestly, I kind of believe that Kenya is manipulating this situation for a storyline. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse the fact that Matt is being a damn fool, honestly. And if Kenya is manipulating you, you're really giving her all the ammunition to do so, because you're falling right into the trap. You know what I mean? Like, she's really baiting you and you're taking it like a dumbass. And you don't have nobody to blame but yourself for that. So, Matt, you need to stop. And just like Peter said, you got to let that shit go. Just like Cynthia said to Kenya, she got to let it go. Because it's clear that Kenya and Matt are toxic for each other. And it just got to leave well enough the fuck alone. So with that being said, y'all, this is my review on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to tell a friend to tell a motherfucking friend, in the words of Kandi from Sweet Addictions, to fucking subscribe to my channel. And that's it, you guys, to my Married to Master review. I'm out of here, y'all.